Most people don't understand how much stiff ankles and feet hold them back. The simple movement of walking low completely changes your lower body. The feet come back online and the knees and hips gain a massive amount of strength. But you gotta know how to do this appropriately. And I'm gonna show you how to do it no matter your age or fitness level. If you've been looking for something to transform your lower body, look no further than the duck walk. Whether you're young, old, sedentary, or active, walking is one of the best forms of exercise. And maintaining a nice fluid walking capability will allow us to keep a certain level of fitness and mobility as we age. But what if we choose to walk a little bit lower? Now we turn on a lot more of the muscles in our legs and hips. And what about even a little bit lower than that? Because we're designed to walk upright, this forces us to use way more muscle from our legs. And even lower, now we're asking our feet and our knees to support our whole body weight. Now, what's referred to as the duck walk changes our whole lower body's mobility, strength, and conditioning. Let's talk about why and how. So the thing that creates a big need for the duck walk is this guy, the chair. Now these days, a lot of us are hip to breaking up our sitting with some standing, some light stretching, things that reverse what sitting is doing to our bodies. Yet what a lot of us are still missing out on is fully bending our joints. Most of us are sitting, we stand, we walk, but we rarely ever fully bend the knee, the hip, and the ankle. Spending time in the deep squat position can be life-changing, yet at the same time, a deep squat is not athletic. But this small shift right here is probably one of the most functional things humans can do. When I bend my toe and lift my heel, I'm prepared to move. It's the same position for my toe as when I walk or run. And duck walking is simply moving from this low squat-like position. You may not believe it from watching me do this stuff, but when I was in my mid-20s, over 10 years ago, I had terrible tendinitis in both of my knees. Now getting close to my 40s, my knees feel better and stronger than I did when I was 30. The reason? Well, 10 years of duck walks can take a lot of the credit here. What I found is in my 20s, I wasn't using my joints fully. Now I intentionally put full bend into my toes, ankles, knees, and hips on a weekly basis. I mean, come on, I'm probably never gonna have to lift something heavy off of my chest, but bending my lower body to go down to the ground and play with my kids, this comes up often. And I'm confident that if I keep duck walking, I'll be able to maintain this ability for a long time. And I want you to as well. Here's how you can get started at any age, any level. Find yourself some nice ground where you can travel a few paces forward. Now, how comfortable do you feel in a low squat position with the knees fully bent? And the heels can be off the ground, which is nice for some of us with stiffer ankles. If you're comfortable here, the best place to start is to take a couple steps forward. You want to shift your weight into the working leg to allow the other leg space to move forward. Unlike a flat-footed squat, everyone should be able to keep their torso upright in the duck walk. And this is what makes the knees and the toes do the work. In the beginning, a few steps is all you really need. If you don't feel comfortable in a deep squat, no problem. We're going to start with the duck squat lunge. Notice in a normal lunge, both of my knees are about 90 degrees. Now, when we keep our feet closer together, the knees bend more. This is what I call the duck lunge, and it's accessible for most people to start because you can gauge how low and how much knee bend you want to allow for yourself. Think of it like this half kneeling position is our target to aim for. Then we simply take a step forward to get to the other side. If we can string these half kneeling positions together, we're essentially doing the duck walk lunge. The last piece of the puzzle is staying lower, and this is where using some light hand assistance on the ground comes in handy. And you can work on this until you're able to stay nice and low. But the duck walk really shines as we start to push that front knee further forward. It's a bit like jogging versus sprinting. When we jog, our legs are right underneath our hips, versus when we sprint, one leg reaches in front and the other reaches behind into hip extension. And when we duck walk, the end goal is to sprint, because the more we push that front knee forward, we build knee strength. But also, that back leg is getting a big stretch through the hip flexor, and we're learning how to use that glute to drive forward. But look, maybe you're 65 years old, you're watching this, you're inspired by it, but it's a little too demanding for your knees. Well, for you, I'd recommend the half duck walk. By simply doing a slight bend at the knees and hips, we can still strengthen the legs a lot more than normal walking. You can challenge yourself to do this for 10 steps every few minutes throughout your morning walk. Yes, it might look a little strange to the passerbys, but I know for myself, as I get older, I care much more about my health than what other people think of me. So why not be the weird person in the middle of the street low walking? You'll have stronger legs than the rest of them. And shout out to all the 60 and 70-year-olds that implement things from these videos. If you're one of them, let us know if you're gonna do some low walking below. Here's some other variations if you wanna have fun pushing yourself. One thing that's really challenging in the duck walk is to travel backwards. You really have to commit to shifting all your weight onto that supporting leg so you can move the other leg behind you. It's a little bit easier if your steps are small, but as your steps get bigger, you're essentially having to move through a pistol squat, which can be really demanding on the lower body. What I love about these is you can really challenge your duck walks in a smaller space. I've actually used these training in a commercial gym, like in a squat rack while I was traveling one time. Imagine how mad the powerlifters were. These are definitely not for beginners, so make sure you're really solid in the duck walk first. Duck walk step-ups have been a fun one for me to play with lately. This will add a little bit more range of motion into the hips, and coming down on the other side is equally challenging. And I've been really liking finding little challenges out in the real world, like walking up a staircase. It just makes training so much more interesting and fun. And here's just a silly variation I've been playing with that I call the stair duck walk. How fluidly can you go from walking to a full duck walk while seamlessly keeping your torso in about the same position? Although it's mainly a fun one, it also teaches you how to drive forward onto your feet and knees. Now I find that the duck walk is so heavy and demanding on the knees, adding weight isn't really necessary. Yet for the trained individual, it probably can result in some pretty elite level bulletproof knees. Holding a weight at chest level is a pretty comfy variation, but holding a weight above your head will also combo into some shoulder strength training as well. I like to train about 4 to 8 steps on each leg, and obviously the harder the variation, the less steps I'll take. All of that being said, remember that the half duck walk can be super beneficial for the average person. We have a program called the Human Animal Method, where we combine all different types of animal movements, including cat crawls and duck walks. Now we are going to give away this program for free to the top comment on this video. So drop a clever comment and let's see if it gets a lot of thumbs up. And if you just want to buy it and train like a monkey on your own, use code ANIMAL for 25% off. A lot of you guys have been digging the horse stance content that I've been putting out, and I think that these two movements pair together so nice. The horse stance trains your hips to be strong and mobile in this top range where the knees are about 90 degrees. I've been doing around 30 to 60 seconds here, and then immediately going into my duck walk for about 8 to 10 steps. It's such a unique combo of training an isometric with tons of hip mobility benefits and then training your deep knee bend ability. Another variation that I'll use is to do the horse stance walk going one direction and then to turn around and do the duck walk back. I still do traditional leg exercises like squats and deadlifts, but it's these movements right here that have made me extremely more capable in my body. They build functionality, strength, and mobility that's just hard to find in the gym. Now, I'm sure people have been using low walking for thousands of years, but we have to recognize wrestling and other martial arts who use this in a more tactical manner. It's used to take down an opponent. Wrestlers call it shooting, and it involves touching that front knee down to the ground. This is a cool variation to play with if you're on a soft surface. Duck walks are a unique level of athleticism that the average person can get a lot out of. Are you using a form of duck walks in your training, or are you going to start? Comment below. Right here on screen is a perfect follow along to get started with duck walk and other animal movements, as always.